In the summer of 1816, Mary Shelley woke from a vivid, unbidden hallucination and immediately began writing Frankenstein. The dreaming mind has always demonstrated this kind of visceral, creative power. Yet, despite their profound impact on human history and art, dreams remain a scientific blind spot. Because they are entirely subjective experiences, they have historically resisted rigorous objective measurement. For decades, traditional dream analysis required human raters to read diaries and manually code the themes inside them. That process is slow, inherently biased by the reader's own perspective, and impossible to scale across large populations. Without a mechanism to mathematically quantify the subconscious at scale, our understanding of why we dream has remained trapped in the realm of anecdote rather than hard data. A 2026 study published in Communication Psychology offers a new methodological approach to sleep mentation. Researchers tracked over 200 subjects across a 4-year longitudinal period, gathering more than 3,300 individual reports of both waking thoughts and dreams. To process a dataset of this size, they replaced human coders with advanced natural language processing tools. Algorithms, rather than people, parse the text. By feeding these verbal reports into large language models and generating word embeddings, the researchers treated dream narratives as complex datasets. They began mapping the underlying semantic architecture of human consciousness. Translating subjective hallucinations into quantifiable data points provides a mechanism to map the semantic structure of what the brain generates during sleep. The researchers deployed a two-pronged analytical methodology to extract this data. The first is a hypothesis-driven approach, where AI evaluates text against predefined scientific concepts. They programmed large language models to grade every report across 16 specific semantic dimensions, including metrics like emotional valence and bizarreness. The second pipeline is entirely data-driven. Using word embeddings, the system discovers hidden patterns organically, free from human bias. To organize this, they applied non-negative matrix factorization, grouping thousands of floating words into 32 distinct recurring lexical domains, based on how often they appear together. By combining human-designed metrics with AI-discovered word clusters, researchers created the first truly objective, high-dimensional blueprint of human consciousness. With this system in place, researchers established a baseline. They ran the data to isolate exactly what structurally separates our waking thoughts from sleep mentation. The data defines the waking state as egocentric. It is anchored by logical thoughts, metacognition, a strict awareness of time passing, and a high degree of personal agentivity, meaning the subject actively controls their actions. This radar chart shows how directly that contrasts with the dream state. The data proves the dream layer is an allocentric simulation, dominated by distinct visual and spatial characteristics. Notice the severe suppression of agentivity and internal thought metrics during sleep. The dreamer acts less like an active agent and more like a passive observer, reacting to bizarre, shifting environments. The data identifies dreaming as a hyper-associative mode of spatial and visual processing, structurally distinct from the recall of daily memories. But within that baseline, individual idiosyncrasies emerge. Why do certain people experience highly fragmented, bizarre dreams, while others experience completely mundane narratives? The study's modeling proved that these variations are not dictated by random sleep neurophysiology. Instead, stable waking cognitive traits predictably dictate the internal simulation of the dream. The data revealed a specific, direct correlation between a subject's waking propensity for mind-wandering and the bizarreness of their dreams. The NLP domains expose the mechanical link. A high tendency for mind-wandering directly drives frequent setting shifts within the dream. Constantly changing locations multiplies the subjective perception of bizarreness. Functionally, dreaming operates as an intensified offline state of mind-wandering, proving a direct structural continuity between our daytime cognitive traits and our nighttime simulations. Beyond internal personality traits, the researchers examined macro-environmental shocks. They wanted to know what happens to the subconscious when an entire population faces a shared, sudden stressor. To test this, they utilized an independent dataset captured during the strict, high-stress COVID-19 lockdown in Italy in April and May of 2020. This line graph tracks the immediate, quantifiable impact on dream architecture. Right at the 2020 lockdown mark, we see massive statistical spikes in emotional arousal, social interactions, and references to physical limitations. But the 4-year longitudinal tracking data measures a long-term normalization. Following the initial shock, the population's subconscious slowly decayed back toward its baseline metrics, while overall emotional valence trended upward. The sleeping brain functions as a collective emotional shock absorber. It is highly responsive to waking crises, but structurally capable of systematic, long-term psychological recovery. If the computational data proves dreams are this highly structured and responsive, we have to assess their evolutionary purpose. One explanation is threat simulation theory. This proposes that dreams function as a biological virtual reality training program designed for rehearsing adaptive responses to danger. The data's proof of heightened emotional arousal and bizarre sudden setting shifts perfectly aligns with a brain running extreme stress test simulations. A complementary function is social simulation theory. The high frequency of character interactions found in the data provides a sandbox for refining complex social skills. The computational data definitively kills the hypothesis that dreams are just random noise. They are a highly functional sandbox for emotional regulation and memory processing. Applying this framework to subjective sleep reports allows cognitive neuroscience to transition from manual, qualitative coding to automated, high-resolution analysis. Natural language processing and large language models have finally provided researchers with the tools necessary to study the architecture of subjective consciousness at scale. Beyond sleep research, these findings provide a method for reverse engineering the mechanisms the brain uses to construct our perception of waking reality. As we perfect these computational models to read the subconscious, we are left with an open scientific question. What other hidden evolutionary processes is the sleeping brain trying to reveal to us?